Good morning, everyone. How your studies going on? I guess June batch का तो सब खत्म हो गया except for environment. What is remaining? Ethics. Ethics. You are ethical person. Ethics थोड़ी पढ़ना होता है. Ethics should not be studied. Ethics will be there in environment के बाद. नहीं, प्रीलिम्स से बाद नहीं, 31 में से पहले कर दूंगा. So combine इसलिए कर रहा हूँ because whatever has been done in both the batches is more than enough for ecology and ecosystem. And second ये reason था combine करने के लिए. अगर मैं मई बैच में इंडियन पढ़ा था तो जून बैच के लिए कोई सब्जेक्ट ही नहीं बचा था. So जून बैच की छुट्टी हो जाती. So we are combining these two parts. Now when we are studying this part, सबसे important what you should study, you should more focus on prelims, because mains के लिए this question will come open ended. So when I say prelims में generally will get 18 to 20 questions from this region, or will take an average के 18 questions will come from this region. And 18 questions में से, so if you look at the kind of a division of the questions, so if we see in 2018, prelims में there were 19 questions, in 2019 there were 18 questions, and 2018 ही एक ऐसा साल था जब mains में there were 11 questions from this section. Even in the mains, that is the paper 3, floods, droughts, वो सब जो portions है, which you can say as a geography का portion, or you can say it is an environment ecology का question, conservation agriculture, that is the कुछ part of a geography जो geography में नहीं हुआ है, that is a part of environment and ecology. Soils we have done, soil erosion, soil conservation, the floods and the droughts, urban floods, heat waves, the urban heat island, this all is the mains ka part of the environment and ecology section. Now, though we find this section very difficult, but you remember 18 में से at least 16 questions easily solve हो जाते हैं from this section. So 16 questions when you solve means you are very sure about the 32 marks. Fine. Plus somewhere around, if you get 8 questions in geography, right? So you are very sure about 48 marks. You are very sure about the 48 marks. And generally, cutoff is worst case में, if we say you should be above 100 marks for the clearing, or above 105 marks for the clearing. So ये दो subjects आपको इतने marks दे रहे हैं. So the remaining subjects you have to score somewhere around 55-60 marks. Fine. But if you know how to study the environment and ecology section, and if you keep on studying the books that are present in the environment and ecology section, फिर ये marks नहीं आएंगे. Because when we divide the books, for example, anyone carrying Shankar IS? So which book you should buy? You can buy any of this book if you want. Shankar IS या फिर राजा गोपालन. Fine, any of this book. दोनों एक जैसे है, but इसकी language थोड़ी easy है because this is a textbook. इसका exam oriented है because this is a guidebook. This has been made from Wikipedia and this has been written in a proper manner. इससे you will understand everything, you will cover many things, but कभी-कभी कुछ areas में it does not go into detail. The R.R. Rajgopalan and थोड़ा scattered लगता है. Like when you read the NCERT of history, you will understand history, but you will not remember history. Fine. So ये सेम हो सकता है विथ राजगोपालन, बट स्टिल राजगोपालन इज ऑल्सो वेरी गुड बुक. शंकर आईएएस इज टू बल्कि, इतना ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन है इसमें. फाइन. एंड ये समवेयर अराउंड, दिस इज अराउंड 355 पेजेस एंड दिस इज अराउंड 480 पेजेस. सो एक जैसे ही है. फाइन. बट व्हाट इज द गुड थिंग इज इन द शंकर आईएएस और इन दिस थिंग्स, यहां तक कुछ काम का नहीं है. मतलब यहां तक इट इज ओनली फॉर प्रीलिम्स. what is the ecosystem, what is the food chain, what is the food web, what is this thing. So it is not that important. And if you even if you look at the past questions, इस area में से सबसे कम questions आते हैं in the prelims. That is ecological succession. We'll start with this area. So for the first section of environment and ecology, do our notes and just focus on keywords. How to come to the answer by utilizing the keywords. For example, if the keyword is ecological succession, so in the ecological succession the keyword is ki primary productivity, primary species, climax community, what is the climax community, etc. This is one keyword. Second keyword is what you mean by ecotype, how it is different from ecosystem, how it is different from ecofin, how it is different from biomes. What are the biomes? Terrestrial biomes and the aquatic biome. Aquatic biome में what is the biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand. So ये जो keywords है, this will तो ऊपर से for prelims, they are not going to ask you questions from the ecosystem in the main examination, because main examination में the syllabus says that environmental changes and the biodiversity. सबसे ज़्यादा जहाँ से question आते हैं, it is always a game or it is always a competition between the biodiversity section and the climate change का section. So in the 2019 examination सबसे ज़्यादा questions आए थे from the climate change का section, and climate change का section में how the question comes is in the terms of institutions, in the terms of the programs what they have done, and sometimes in the terms of the impacts or the reports which they will publish. So क्या क्या current पे चल रहा है, I'm just giving you an idea क्योंकि कल ही ये batch शुरू खत्म हुआ, that is the QEP batch. So what is there? Emission gap report is there in the current affairs. कौन publish करता है? Emission gap report, UNEP. Then coalition against coal is there. किसने form किया coalition against coal? UK and Canada. So ये है, this is what is the current affairs का portion. Then and कभी कभी questions आते हैं from the biodiversity. It is nothing but our geography का exam, the implication, and this is the most interesting section. But yes, obviously it is factual in nature, the biodiversity. What will be there this year? If last year the questions have been from the climate change वाला issue, the questions have been from the climate change wala issue, this year I feel there will be the more questions from the biodiversity wala issue. Uska one reason is simple, that is nothing much has happened in the climate change. You know what is climate change? Global warming and climate change due to greenhouse gas emissions. Usko control karne ke liye came a United Nations Environment Program. उसने commission appoint किया. I'm just giving you the overall idea of the topic ताकि एक mind map बन जाए. उसने एक body appoint की which is known as the Bertland Commission. Bertland Commission gave the concept of a sustainable development. उसके बाद people started dying due to cancer, and therefore Montreal Protocol came, Vienna Convention and the Montreal Protocol for the protection of ozone layer. उसके बाद in 1989 the body was formed which is known as IPCC. IPCC के बाद IPCC started publishing the reports regarding the climate change. Therefore, in 1992, the world leaders met at Rio de Janeiro to form the Earth Summit, what is known as the Rio Earth Summit. Rio Earth Summit was divided into three parts, that is the United Nations Conference to Combat Desertification, जिसका COP, जिसकी meeting इस साल दिल्ली में हुई, that is India में हुई, fine. Then United Nations Convention on Biodiversity, UNCBD, जिसकी meeting Mexico में हुई, and उसमें two species from India was put into sites. So you must be hearing this word. sites, UN sites. उसके साथ साथ traffic was also present in the meeting. So what is traffic? It is a non-governmental organization that will monitor the trade in endangered species. What is CITES? बहुत आसान है, but if you listen to the lecture very properly, guarantee देता हूँ कि this is very easy topic. You will remember the words, fine. But if you depend upon the books, guarantee देता हूँ 10 क्वेश्चन के ऊपर नहीं सॉल्व कर पाओगे. And don't depend on the books, because एक जो book है राजगोपालन, that is fine, but इतना time नहीं है अभी आपके पास 480 pages का. Be selective about that. शंकर जो book है, because it is Wikipedia, you cannot remember everything from the Wikipedia. Fine. So CITES is very easy. Convention in international trade in endangered species. So convention on international trade in endangered species. That is what is the CITES. That is, it is a convention which will allow for the smuggling and or which will not allow for the smuggling of the endangered species. Fine. उसके बाद UNCBD and UNCBD ने 2010 में डिक्लेयर किया था कि the year 2011 to year 2020 will be United Nations Decade on Biodiversity. So we are on the last year of United Nations Decade on Biodiversity. So obviously biodiversity से questions आने हैं, right? So that is how it is there. There will be questions on biodiversity. And what are the questions on the biodiversity? Questions on the biodiversity will be कि एक तो what is their idea, that is what is the different types of conventions on biodiversity, what is the rate of biodiversity in India, what are the different species that are present in India, etc. So इस subject को master करने के लिए we have to solve MCQs on the daily basis. Fine, this is what we will be doing in the class, reading something, solving the MCQs on the daily basis. खत्म हो गए. ये 132 सैम्पल क्वेश्चंस है. विल जैसे ये पोर्शन खत्म होता है, यू विल गेट मोर क्वेश्चंस. क्वेश्चंस के थ्रू रिवाइज वी विल डू इट. So can I continue? So how is the structuring of this syllabus? The structuring of the syllabus is, we are going to divide our syllabus into two parts. That is, our study plan is, and this should be your study plan also. Ecology and ecosystem. This is one part. The second part is biodiversity and related issues. And the third part is climate change and related issues. Climate change and related issues. There are three parts: ecology and ecosystem, biodiversity and related issues, and climate change and related issues. देखो, I am just telling you an example of the questions that has been asked in the past, right? पिछले साल का ही क्वेश्चन ले लो, नेशनल ग्रीन ट्राइब्यूनल. फाइन. सेंट्रल पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड इसमें आएगा. एनीथिंग दैट इज रिलेटेड टू पोल्यूशन विल कम इन दिस, द इकोलॉजी एंड इकोसिस्टम, बिकॉज सराउंडिंग्स को अफेक्ट कर रहा है. सो बट नेशनल ग्रीन ट्राइब्यूनल, सीबीटी, डिफरेंट घड़ियाल कहाँ मिलता है, डिफरेंट नेशनल पार्क्स, द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ द बायोडाइवर्सिटीज, और द ग्रीन कॉर्प्स मिशन, और रेड एंड रेड प्लस, और इस साल का इंडिया एंड यूएस का प्रोग्राम दैट इज द फॉरेस्ट प्लस. ये नाम सुने हैं, राइट? फॉरेस्ट प्लस. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज विल बी देयर इन द बायोडाइवर्सिटी. क्लाइमेट चेंज में क्योटो, क्लीन डेवलपमेंट मैकेनिज्म, यूएन FCCC, IPCC स्पेशल रिपोर्ट 1.5, फाइन, कोalition अगेंस्ट कोल, बायोडाइवर्सिटी सस्टेनेबल अलायंस दोनों में आएगा, बायोफिन इनिशिएटिव दोनों में आएगा, देन ग्रीन क्लाइमेट फंड, एडेप्टेशन फंड, द कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग फंड. So these are different types of funds which are for the different kind of mechanism. Annex 1 countries, non-Annex 1 countries, Annex B countries, Annex 2 countries, joint implementation, ये नाम सुने हैं? Fine. So these are the parts which will come from the climate change. And ecology में ecological niche, food chain, food web, the ecological pyramids, that is biochemical oxygen demand, pollutants. So पिछले हर साल एक क्वेश्चन तो आता है, पिछले साल भी there was a question on pollutants here, but that questions on pollutants you will be able to answer even with the knowledge of geography. Fine. So then an example of the what is known as the ecotone, what is known as edge effect, what is known as the edge species, what is the levels of organization and ecosystem, what is eutrophication, what causes eutrophication, फिर current based, what is the Pacific garbage patch, what is the dead zones in the ocean, what do you mean by ocean heat waves, what is mean by ocean acidification, what is the impact of ocean acidification. All this will come in the ecosystem. Because you should know that eco matlab home of an organism and logy matlab scientific study of the home of an organism. So anyone, if we are the organisms in an ecosystem and if anyone is doing the scientific study of that, that is what is known as an ecology. हम जहाँ पे रहते हैं, that is we are living in this home and we are interacting with each other. As we are interacting with each other, किसके बीच interaction is going on? There is interaction that is going on between you and me or you and your friends. That is both are living things. So ecosystem में there is an interaction between biotic components of an ecosystem plus we are doing interaction between light and this thing. If I switch off the light, you won't be able to see in the class. So वो interaction खत्म हो जाएगा. You are doing the interaction with pen, you are doing the interaction with paper, you are doing the interaction with the air. That is, if suppose there is vacuum in the class, nobody will be able to survive. So similarly, in the ecosystem also, light, tube light के बदले there is sunlight. Fine. There is edaphic factors such as soil. There are numerous factors. So what is ecology? Study of a home, scientific study of a home. Question आएगा? नहीं आएगा. Generally आएगा कि ecology ये term किसने दिया? वो भी स्टेट सर्विसेज में. आई डोंट थिंक यूपीएससी अब इससे ऊपर उठ गया है दैट किसने नाम दिए इकोलॉजी वो सबके. वी विल स्टिल राइट इट. एंड सेकेंडली इकोसिस्टम क्या है? दिस इज द कॉमनली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन. दैट इज, इसमें कीवर्ड इज इट इज इंटरेक्शन बिटवीन द बायोटिक एंड द अबायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स. Not biotic components only or not abiotic components only. It is an interaction between दोनों. Because biotic means the components जिसके अंदर life है. Abiotic means जिसके अंदर there is no life. But Earth cannot survive without sunlight, and therefore we can say we cannot survive without the abiotic components. It is the abiotic components which gives rise to entire climatology, because on the basis of sunlight, जहाँ पे सनलाइट बहुत ज्यादा है, there is a tropical regions of the world. जहाँ पे the sunlight keeps on changing with the seasons from maximum sunlight to minimum sunlight, maximum, even maximum than tropics, and minimum, sometimes even minimum than tropics. This is what is the subtropical and temperate region. So you see, right now the sunlight is less than tropics. Why? Because the sun is in the southern hemisphere. But let the April, May come, यहाँ पे the temperatures are going to rise to 45-50 degrees Celsius, and therefore the sunlight will be more than the tropics, more than the Tropic of Cancer. So these are the subtropical regions. उसके बाद if you go to the polar regions, there is no sunlight. Because there is no sunlight, the वहाँ पे biodiversity is not there, because the single most important source, I am using the word single most important source for life on the earth is sun. Fine, but it is not the only source for life on the earth. It is not the only source of for the energy on the earth. It is the single most important source. किसके लिए single most important source है? It is the single most important source for the organisms known as autotrophs. What are these organisms? Again, don't write. It is known for the organisms known as autotrophs. What are troughs? Troughs matlab nutrition. So auto means self nutrition. So the organisms who can have a self nutrition or who can make their own food are what are known as autotrophs. For example, plants. You can cook Maggi on your own. Are you autotroph? Why? Who is producing Maggi? Nestle then? Is Nestle autotroph? No. Autotroph means one who can convert, that is own food. कैसे? You can convert the photosynthetically active radiation, that is जितना भी sun का energy is coming, out of that 400 to 700 nanometer is the visible light, and that is what is known as the PAR, photosynthetically active radiation. And उस photosynthetically active radiation को use करके those who can make the food, that is what are known as autotrophs, and we are dependent on autotrophs, and we are therefore heterotrophs. That is, we are other nourishing, we are not self nourishing, we are dependent on others, and the energy will travel from autotrophs to the heterotrophs. And once we die, whether it is the autotrophs or whether it is the heterotrophs, we all will become the food for what you can say detrivores and decomposers. Will all become, except for some humans जिसमें you can say, or we will all become a part of the detrivores and the decomposer का food chain. Now what do you mean by detrivore? Detrivore means जब हमारा body, is it complex or simple? It is complex. So why you cook the food? Why you cook the food? What will happen if you don't cook the food and you will try to eat it वैसे ही? फ्लेवर तो मसाले से आता है, कुकिंग से नहीं आता. So digestion का process will be affected, right? You cook the food so that you break the complex carbohydrates and protein ka chain into simple forms which can be digested by our body. So when we die, or when any living organisms dies, there are detrivores which will help in breaking the complex organic matter into simple forms. क्या काम है detrivore का? Complex organic matter into the simple forms, detrivore. And then this food will be, over the period of time, humus etc. will be added to the soil, minerals जो हमारे अंदर है, they will be added to the soil, nitrogen will be released back to the atmosphere, carbon dioxide will be released back to the atmosphere. That is, our body over the period of time, हिंदी में सड़ जाएगी, और English में over the period of time it will become a part of soil and decompose. So they are decomposers. What is the difference between the decomposers and detrivores is detrivores eat the dead, fine, and decomposers will break down after. So after eating they will make the organic complex matter into simple form, and decomposers will further simplify it in the process of humification or in the process of mineralization. in the process of humification. Humification ka process is the process by which humus is formed on the earth. So you already know what is humus. Dead and decomposed organic matter which adds to the fertility of the soil is what is known as humus, and it gives dark color to the soil. And mineralization, by which the minerals are formed. Fine. So this is what is an example of the autotrophs, heterotrophs, and we will call them as what is known as detrivores, and decomposers are known as the saprotrophs. So can I say हर एक organism का role in an ecosystem is more or less fixed. जो काम humans कर सकते हैं वो tiger नहीं कर पाएगा, जो काम bacteria कर सकते हैं वो humans नहीं कर पाएंगे. Fine. So each and every role of each and every organism is more or less fixed, and the role of organism in one particular location is what is known as an ecological niche. What is ecological niche? कि क्या speciality है आपकी? What is your niche? What is your ecological niche? Fine. For example, in one particular habitat, habitat means एक geographical settings. See, what can be the ecological niche? Ecological niche का है कि you ask ma'am to teach geography and environment and ask me to teach pol science. दोनों flop, right? Why? कहाँ पे? Maybe in Rajendra Nagar, but if we open a class maybe in Port Blair for the UPSC, उसी वहाँ के लोगों के लिए, maybe those people, because they are very far away, they won't be having that much of an idea, and हमारा business चल जाएगा. वहाँ मैं ball science पढ़ा सकता हूँ, वहाँ मैम geography पढ़ा सकती है. So understanding ecological niche role, geography, pol science is fixed in ecological habitat. As the habitat changes, ecological niche can change. Understanding? This ecological niche can change. So what is there in the ecosystem is ये जो ऊपर के factors है. So whenever you study the ecosystem, as we are going to study this, see abhi tak to past year these things have been ki generally our notes are more than enough. You study the notes very properly and they will be and update it with the current affairs also. So whenever we study this, I will ask you to totally depend on notes here. And what you should depend on notes is we just focus on keywords. For prelims. Definitions याद रखो, examples याद रखो. For example, what do you mean by keywords? Keyword in the definition of an ecosystem was interaction. So जिस option में the word is interaction, that is your answer. जो मैंने अभी example लिया ecological niche, the keyword was role, functional role. So जिसमें word है functional role, that is your answer. This is how you try to remember with the help of a keywords. Because यहाँ से the questions will be generally 4 to 5 in nature. और आजकल का जो trend है, यहाँ से the questions can be 2 to 4 in nature. Fine, and this is only for prelims. We don't generally get it for the mains unless 1 or 2 specific topics है ecological succession or sub, which will come for the mains. This is factual in nature. And for this, depend upon again the notes plus PPTs. As well as जो famous programs है United Nations के वो सब जो हम करेंगे class में, and over the period of time it will build up, because question यहाँ से आएंगे around 8 to 10 questions will come, and these are, see, if any questions come from the ecosystem, what you know, यहाँ पे chances है कि you should get around 100% of the questions right. Fine. Biodiversity में you should get around 99% of the questions right, because organizations वो सब limited है in biodiversity. कोई नए organizations नहीं, वही आसपास का है. पिछले साल का example regarding the biodiversity you can take it as an, क्योंकि biodiversity questions you will mostly feel as if they are the geographical questions कि चिलिका लेक पे क्या है, घड़ियाल कहाँ पे है, etc. So this is national parks, biosphere reserves, what is the man and biosphere reserve program. This all is the questions which will come from the biodiversity. And third is the climate change. This is both again conceptual and factual in nature. For that, if you want to read, you can read a book. The choice is yours. अगर किसी को book लेना है, and I'm giving you the 2 books का choice. Notes तो पहले पढ़नी है, फाइन, बाद में बुक्स पे जाओ. उल्टा मत करो कि पहले बुक पढ़ लो और बाद में नोट्स. वैल्यू एडिशन है बुक. Because ये इसलिए मैं बुक कह रहा हूं, because this topic is there for both mains and prelims. And यहाँ से we get are somewhere around 8 to 10 questions. So this is अगर 8 क्वेश्चन यहाँ से, 8 क्वेश्चन यहाँ से, 2 क्वेश्चन वहां से, and this is how 18 questions come in the examination. And generally यहाँ पे स्ट्राइक रेट थोड़ा कम हो जाता है, it comes to somewhere around 90%. क्यों? क्योंकि 2-3 ऐसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस पूछेंगे जिसके बारे में you will have no idea. Right? So this is how the part is of the syllabus. Now what is the most basic book? The most basic book is Twelfth Standard Bio NCERT. And also there are some questions, there are some books, some chapters of the 9th and 10th Science and Technology, but 12th Standard Bio NCERT is the most basic book. Give me a minute. Book, ये इतनी मोटी बुक में से you have to go through the last 6 chapters. Fine. Last 6 chapters. 4 chapters अभी बोलते हैं, but you should go through the last 6 chapters. What? दिक्कत तो 31 मई को पता चलेगी. What I can say, दिक्कत है कि it will give an idea regarding this. So मैं आपको 2 दिन का टारगेट देता हूँ, then I'll ask after 2 days. So your target for next 2 days is आराम से जब भी टाइम मिला, because अब तो ऑप्शनल भी खत्म है, सब कुछ है, एक ही क्लास चल रहा है. So organisms and population, read chapter 13. एक बार read करके आओ chapter 13. That is the organisms and population. क्योंकि you will get the idea of the definitions from here. Okay, what are the organisms, what is the commensalism, what is amensalism, what is interaction, etc. Right? हमें लास्ट के 4 चैप्टर्स तो श्योरली करने हैं, और अगर हो सकता है तो ये 2 एक्स्ट्रा चैप्टर्स, चैप्टर 11 बायोटेक्नोलॉजी प्रोसेसेस एंड दिस थिंग करना है. So chapter 13, you will find the xerox of the last 4 chapters easily in the market. So this is the basic idea. And then you should keep on looking for koi new national park that comes in the news, koi new species that comes in the news, etc. You should keep on looking for this. We are going to study today सबसे पहले levels of organization in the ecosystem. Out of which is the most important? The concept of eutrophication. Concept of eutrophication. Now, what do you mean by levels of organization in the ecosystem? Can I continue? What do you mean by the levels of organization is when we look at the this thing, we all are made up of cells. Fine, we all are made up of cells, whether it is plant or whether it is animals, it is the cell. फिर आपको बायोलॉजी में यू स्टडी की सेल वॉल किस में है किस में नहीं है एक्सेट्रा. Then cell will give rise to organs. Organs will give rise to, यहाँ से environment ecology शुरू होता है, individuals. Individuals will give rise to population. Only definitions for preliminary examination. Population will give rise to community. Community will give rise to ecosystem. Ecosystems are the parts of biomes. वो टेलीग्राम के वीडियोस देखने में टाइम वेस्ट मत करना बिकॉज दे आर लास्ट ईयर का 70% ऑफ द सिलेबस चेंजेस. फाइन, सो इसलिए इवन आई डिडंट वरी कि होने दो, अगर लीक हो रहे टेलीग्राम पे तो 70% ऑफ द सिलेबस इज गोइंग. सिर्फ ये दो आज का और कल का लेक्चर ही रिपीटेड रहेगा, उसमें भी एग्जाम्पल्स चेंज हो जाएंगे. फाइन, करंट बेस्ड. सो डोंट वेस्ट on watching the videos on Telegram. Fine. So there is Telegram पे videos have been leaked some 4 or 5 days back, पूरा environment ecology का. Fine, but उसको मत देखो. Biosphere. बस 5-6 लाइन्स डेफिनेशन से सेम मिलेंगे, बाकी कुछ सेम नहीं मिलेगा उसमें. फाइन, सो उससे अच्छा कम टू द क्लास, स्टडी विथ फुल कॉन्सेंट्रेशन, सॉल्व द एमसीक्यूज ऑफ दिस टॉपिक्स एंड फिनिश दिस टॉपिक. फाइन, सो दिस इज व्हाट इज द, एंड उसके बाद ज्योग्राफी शुरू होता है, दैट इज एटमॉस्फेयर, देन एक्सोस्फेयर एक्सेट्रा. दिस इज देयर. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज द इकोसिस्टम. नाउ व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय इंडिविजुअल्स? व्हाट इज इंडिविजुअल? You are an individual. So what is individual? A complete being which has the capacity to reproduce is what is known as an individual. Understanding? A complete being which has a capacity to reproduce so that the fertile offspring comes is what is known as the individual. Don't write the definition abhi tak. What is known as population and what is the difference between the population and the community? Human population, tiger population, cattle population, that is when the individuals of the same species they live in one particular geographical habitat, then that is what is known as an population. So population क्या है? Individuals of the same species. So population में will take only the same species, that is Homo sapiens, will not take human Neanderthal man, will not take tigers, will not take lions. That is what is the population of the same species. And when the population of the different species live in one particular habitat, then it is what is known as a community. So what is the basic difference from the exam point of view between the population and the community? Though keyword, same species, and therefore the members of the population will interact with each other to reproduce a fertile offspring. The members of the different species cannot interact. That is, the members of the community will not interact or cannot reproduce a fertile offspring, but the population, members of the population will always reproduce a fertile offspring. Fine? Understanding? So, you cannot have lion and tiger interacting and producing a liger. There is liger, which has been formed due to interaction of lion and tiger. But in the lab, when you live them in the real life, this liger does not have the capacity to reproduce. मतलब वो generations चलेगा नहीं. See, everything here is based on how the generations will go, because survival of the fittest होना है. You have to adjust yourself to the surrounding regions. While the members of the community will not reproduce, members of the community will interact. And जहाँ पे they interact, that is what is known as an ecosystem. Fine? Ecosystem mein there has to be interaction. And how is the ecosystem? Ecosystem can be on the land, ecosystem can be on the water. So we have two kinds of ecosystem, that is the terrestrial ecosystem and the aquatic ecosystem. Now, the name of the ecosystem is always given by the most dominant species that is present in that area. Hamesha, the most dominant species. So, on the land, the most dominant species are autotrophs, and out of the autotrophs, the most dominant species are grasses. So, we will call the terrestrial ecosystem as the grassland ecosystem. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि only grasses are present there. So, tropical evergreen forest is also a grassland ecosystem, etc. And aquatic ecosystem is divided into the brackish water ecosystem and the freshwater ecosystem or the saline water ecosystem. Right? Fresh water, brackish water, saline water, and the extremely saline water ecosystem. Of the freshwater ecosystem, give me an example of the freshwater ecosystem. Dal Lake can be the freshwater ecosystem, or Wolleru Lake, or Kolleru Lake, or Wooler Lake, or any river. River is a freshwater or saline water? All rivers of the world. So, freshwater ecosystem can be divided into lotic ecosystem. Lotic means जहाँ पे पानी मूव कर रहा है, that is rivers, and lentic ecosystem, that is जहाँ पे पानी stagnant है, saline नहीं, stagnant है, that is the lake, Wooler Lake, etc. These are what are the freshwater ecosystem. Question आता है, what do you mean by lotic ecosystem? Fine. So rivers will come under what ecosystem? Lotic ecosystem. Lotic मतलब moving water. So याद रखना, moving. So how will you remember? Fine. Lentic मतलब still ecosystem. Lentic is the still ecosystem. So when this is what are the ecosystems. When the ecosystems are on the large scale and these ecosystems are separated by definite boundaries, then this is what is known as biomes. Biomes, and we are going to again revisit climatology here in the biomes. That is जो आपको लगता है कि last 10 chapters of G.C. Leong जो है, that will come here. So what are the biomes? Tropical evergreen forest biome, Mediterranean biome, desert biome, xerophytic adaptations, etc. This all will come in the biomes. Geography का फिर से part. That is what is the biomes. Tundra biome, taiga biome. India is what kind of a biomes or the biogeographic zones. And where are these biomes? Can I say these biomes are present जहाँ पे there is a proper interaction of, chalo, hydrosphere oceanography, atmosphere climatology and lithosphere geomorphology. ये तीनों जगह के बीच जहाँ पे, so in the entire atmosphere is the life possible? No, only in the lower atmosphere. In the entire earth is the life possible? No, only in the crust. And in the entire oceanosphere, life is generally possible jahan tak sun rays are reaching, that is in the photic zone. So this region jahan pe there is a dominance of life is what is known as an biosphere. So what is a narrow zone of where there is an interaction of lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, etc. That is what is known as an, sorry, lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere, etc. That is known as an biosphere. Narrow zone jahan pe life can exist on the earth. Clear here? Fine? Coming to population. So these are the members of same species which can or which have the ability to produce fertile of spring. Species is जहाँ पे उसका genre, taxonomy is going to be the same. Species is the outcome की biology का part है वो, मैं इसमें नहीं घुसूंगा अभी, environment ecology में. So population है ना, so individual is the same species, one individual. अब 5-6 individual are there and they belong to the same species, so उसको हम कहेंगे population. They belong to the different species, वो उसको हम कहेंगे community. So population का rate is determined by fertility. That is, what is fertility? Fertility मतलब birth, the ability to give birth. Second, mortality. And third, immigration. Fertility, mortality and immigration. इससे the population is determined of an any area कि कितना birth rate. If the conditions are good, the birth rate is high. If the conditions are bad, the death rate is high. So, and if the conditions are good, in migration. If the conditions are bad, out migration. Fine? Or this migration, immigration, that is the in migration or out migration can be a seasonal phenomena also, where it can be a seasonal phenomena. Example, migratory birds which come to India during the winter season, because the temperature decreases in the Siberian region and therefore they will come to India in the winter season. जैसे ही winters will end and summers will come, India का temperature increases and therefore they will go back to their own region. So this is what is the migration. Based on these parameters, we will define some species as native and non-native species. Native and non-native species. So what is the native species? Which belongs to a place which has originated in a particular place without any external conditions. That is, जो खुद originate हुआ in that place, and जो खुद originate हुआ है, forget human beings now in this, right? जो खुद originate हुआ है in that place will always be adjusted to the geographical conditions of that place, whether it is the soil, whether it is the climate, whether it is the insolation, whether it is the rainfall, etc. जिसको हम कहते हैं natural vegetation. So what is a natural vegetation? The vegetation which has grown on its own without any external help. External help means it has not been reintroduced from outside. If it has been reintroduced from outside, it is known as the non-native species. Exam के लिए इतना काम का नहीं, you should just know the difference between the native species and the non-native species. So human beings का example मैं इसलिए नहीं ले रहा हूँ because human beings have the tendency to migrate. Fine. फिर भी we can say Dravidians are the native species of India. Fine. Dravidians are the native species. And because you are adjusted to the certain kind of a geographical condition, when you migrate to some other things, human beings have the example of human beings can do homeostasis. What do you mean by homeostasis? That is, you can regulate your body temperature. Not all the animals will be able to regulate the body temperature. For example, if you go from the cold climate to the hot climate, you will try to regulate the body temperature by the process of sweating. If you come from cold climate to, if you come to the cold climate from the hot climate, your body will try to regulate the temperature by shivering, and because of shivering, there will be heat which is generated. So we are an example of an homeostasis. That is, we are self-regulating. But there are numerous examples which cannot self-regulate. जब temperature बहुत decrease हो जाता है, so the animals sleep for a long time. That is what is known as hibernation. That is known as hibernation. कब होता है hibernation? During the summers or during the winters? What are the examples of animals that are hibernating? सारे bear या polar bear? Polar bear is an example of animal that is hibernating. You must have come across a term known as estivation. What is estivation? Exactly opposite of hibernation. That is when the animals will sleep during the summer season. Hibernation is during the winters, estivation is during the summers. So these are the animals which cannot regulate their body temperature like humans and which do not have homeostasis. Fine. So because we are having homeostasis, when we go from one region to another, I guess समझ में आ रहा है सबको? Where we are going from one region to another, and if you go and stay in the other region, for example, India में से migrate होके you go to the Norway, जहाँ पे sunlight ही कम है. So your body is regulating यहाँ पे the regions of high sunlight by producing more melanin. When you will go there and stay for 1 or 2 years, your body will start to regulate itself because अब इतना ज़्यादा melanin content की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So your body will start producing less melanin. Again you come back to India, your body will start producing more melanin. Fine. So based on this, if your body starts producing more melanin, or if there is any change, internal change in your body, which is temporary in nature. क्यों temporary in nature? Because you have gone to the European nation and you have come back from European nation to this nation, to India, and your body will start again regulating. You are an example of an ecofin. You are an example of an ecofin. आगे आएगा ये सब. But if you go there and your body stops producing melanin, and once you come back to India, maybe आप नहीं, you come after 20 years, you come after 50 years, or your second generation comes, then you are an example of an ecotype, क्योंकि जो change हुआ है, that is now permanent in nature. Fine? मतलब your second generation comes to India and उनकी body अब melanin नहीं produce कर रही है. So you see, people will go from the warmer regions to colder regions and they will get bit fair. Why? Because body will stop producing melanin and they come back to India and फिर से वो color आ जाता है. Why? Because they are an example of an ecofin. But second, third generation जो वहाँ पे रहता है, when they come back to India, you will not be able to see the changes. That is an example of ecotype. So this is how different species, subspecies are produced. Fine. So the speciation or the species can be of two types. It can be sympatric speciation or it can be allotrophic speciation. When the allotrophic, chalo, fine. So I'll stop here now. They have been introduced जानबूझ के, deliberately or accidentally. अब geographical area बार बार नहीं, हम ecology का word use करेंगे instead of geographical area, that is habitat. Give me an example of native species in India. I'll take the name. Can I say in the native species tea is a native species of India? No, tea has been introduced in India by Britishers. It is a native species of China. Can I say coffee? I'm coming to eucalyptus. Coffee. It has been reintroduced. It has been introduced to in India by Baba Budan. By Baba Budan. It has come from Ethiopia. Sugarcane. Native species. Cotton. Bamboo. Potato. It has been introduced in India by Portuguese. Potato is a native of South America. So, is tea harmful to us? No, tea is not harmful to us. But is eucalyptus harmful? Yes. So, any non-native species, when it comes in an area and then it becomes an harmful to the area, is what is known as invasive alien species. Invasive alien species is a non-native species that will come to an area and will try to destroy the area. So, second part of the definition, यहाँ से exam के लिए you try to remember very properly is endemic species. What do you mean by endemic species? Native species plus found in only one particular geographical location or one particular habitat. बाकी वर्ल्ड में और कहीं नहीं मिलेंगे. These are what are known as the endemic species. They are found only in one particular geographical habitat. Understanding? These are what are the endemic species. So for example, Asiatic lion सिर्फ गुजरात में मिलेगा और कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. It is an native to India plus endemic to India. Getting it? So endemic species are those species which are found in a particular geographical location, which are found only in a particular geographical location. Only in a particular geographical location. Fine. Example बताओ मुझे. Pygmy hog, Asiatic lion, etc. But current. बार बार न्यूज में पढ़ा होगा. What it is? It is endemic to Eastern Ghats. कौन सा ईस्टर्न घाट्स में? It is endemic to the Eastern Ghats, especially the moist deciduous forest of the Eastern Ghats. क्या कहते हैं उसको हिंदी में? It is known as रक्त चंदन. It is nothing but red sandalwood. Only India, not even other part. And you should remember ऐसे जो current affairs का है उनका scientific name. Petrocarpus santalinus, scientific name. PTE. Protected under साइट्स तो है ही. इंडिया शेड्यूल किस में हाईएस्ट प्रोटेक्शन है? वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट में. हाउ मेनी शेड्यूल्स आर देयर? 6 शेड्यूल्स. शेड्यूल 1 हैज द हाईएस्ट प्रोटेक्शन, शेड्यूल 2 उससे कम, शेड्यूल 3 उससे कम, शेड्यूल 4 उससे कम, शेड्यूल 5 जिसमें प्रोटेक्शन नहीं है, शेड्यूल 6 is for endemic plants. Schedule 1 to 5 are for animals. So schedule 6 is for endemic plants. So किस में होगा ये? Schedule 6. नाइनटीन 72. 1972. Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So याद रखना, Schedule 6 is for plants. No plant will be protected under Schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Plants सिर्फ Schedule 6 में है. कौन से plants? Endemic plants. When we'll do the Wildlife Protection Act, there we'll see they are protected under the Schedule 6 of the. And therefore, any plant that is in the Schedule 6, उसका cultivation as well as cutting is not allowed. याद रखो, उसका cultivation nor cutting is allowed. So, can you do the red sandalwood का cultivation? No. कितने type of sandalwood है इंडिया में? दो, normal white sandalwood and दूसरा red sandalwood. So white sandalwood is found all across the peninsular, southern part of the peninsular India, Western Ghats हो, Kerala हो, Tamil Nadu हो, southern Maharashtra हो, Karnataka हो, but red sandalwood is found only in the Eastern Ghats. Only in the Eastern Ghats. बार बार कौन सा आता है न्यूज में, which is most smuggled tree? It is the red sandalwood. Red sandalwood. Four smugglers arrested and 16 for the red sandals logo. 14 hours ago. Fine. Nellore police sees red sandalwoods worth 10 lakh. 2 days ago. Hindu. Delhi airport में red sandalwood वाला was arrested 6 days ago. So it is the red sandals which is very, very important. It is endemic plus plant, Western Ghats. Wild durian is the endemic plus the keystone species of the Western Ghats. सब current based है ये, पुराने नहीं करने, understanding? So wild durian is name, कैसे question आता है? Wild durian which was recently in news is what? So it is an endemic plant. या question ये ऐसा आएगा, wild durian, a species which was recently in news, is found in which regions of India? So it is found in the Western Ghats of India. It is a keystone species also. Understanding? It is a keystone species also. Question can be somewhat like this. Page number, the question number 113. Question number 113. What is the answer? What is the answer? 1 only, A only. Why? Because why second is wrong? Moist deciduous forest of the Western Ghats. क्या दिया है? Tropical rain forest. It is different from the moist deciduous forest. 113, 113, 113. सॉल्व किया? It is a tree species found in part of South India. So कौन सा part of South India? Eastern part of South India. Surrounding which biosphere reserve? क्वेश्चन वही चेंज कर रहा हूं, सराउंडिंग विच बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व, नीलगिरी बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व, अगस्तमलाई बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व, सिंपलीपाल बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व या शेषाचलम हिल्स बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व। नीलगिरीज, अगस्तमलाई, सिमलीपाल, शेषाचलम। शेषाचलम। स्टेट आंध्र प्रदेश, शेषाचलम हिल्स आंध्र प्रदेश। Fine. The state is Andhra Pradesh. Famous for this region is famous for Tirupati temples. Can I continue? पिग्मी हॉग कहां पे? आई एम नॉट मेकिंग यू राइट क्योंकि आगे जाके आएगा। पिग्मी हॉग आसाम, गोल्डन लंगूर आसाम, अरुणाचल एंड भूटान। कंट्रीज याद रखो, आसाम, अरुणाचल एंड भूटान। सो गोल्डन, कल क्वेश्चन आता है गोल्डन लंगूर इज फाउंड ओनली इन इंडिया, ट्रू और फॉल्स? फॉल्स। पिग्मी हॉग इज फाउंड ओनली इन इंडिया, ट्रू। एशियाटिक लायन इज फाउंड ओनली इन इंडिया, वन हॉर्न राइनो इज फाउंड ओनली इन इंडिया, they are in Bhutan, Nepal, etc. So one horned rhino is an endemic species of South Asia, not Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia में current affairs, the last Sumatran rhino has died. आपने current affairs में पढ़ा होगा. So what is that Sumatran rhino? क्वेश्चन खुद ही से पूछो, ये सिर्फ करंट अफेयर्स में मत अटको, यूपीएससी वो नहीं पूछेगा। यूपीएससी पूछेगा वेदर इट इज अ वन हॉर्न राइनो और टू हॉर्न राइनो। It is the two-horned rhino. Fine, it is the two-horned rhino. And second fact, it is the smallest rhino in the world. The smallest rhino in the world is Sumatran. उससे थोड़ा बड़ा is Javan rhino. उससे थोड़ा बड़ा is the African rhino, and the biggest is the Great Indian rhino, Great One-horned rhino. Fine. Question UPSC पूछेगा, did two-horned rhino exist in India? Exist मतलब पहले ही, did exist in India, does exist नहीं, did exist, yes. Once upon a time, Javan and Sumatran rhino were found in India along with the great one-horned rhino, but they have become extinct from India. So extinct तो अभी हुआ है from Sumatra island of Indonesia, but it has got extinct from India much ahead. So question कैसे आएंगे? Try to frame the questions is, which of the following animals have become extinct from India? Cheetah, one-horned rhino, fine, two-horned rhino, and choose the correct options from the codes given below. 1 and 3, two-horned rhino. था भी इंडिया में एक जमाने में, रिमेंबर। ऐसे वहां पे गलती मत करना एग्जाम में कि नहीं, two-horned rhino नहीं था इंडिया में। Yes. African rhino is also two horn. So tell me, endemism is very high in India in the following places. Eastern Ghats is very high. Hans' question is very high in Western Ghats, especially surrounding the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. आता हूँ उस पर. Nilgiri Tahar. Example is the Nilgiri Tahar. Nilgiri wild goat. It is found only in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Fine. Current में क्या है? Population increase हुई है. क्यों? Mukurti National Park. Which state? Tamil Nadu. This is what is current. The Nilgiri Tahar has been declared as a keystone species of the Mukurti National Park. So Mukurti National Park is located कहाँ पे? In the Tamil Nadu. And किसके लिए famous है? Nilgiri Tahar के लिए. Only in Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. कौन से स्टेट में नीलगिरी बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व? एंड तमिलनाडु. What it is? It is a flower. Flower means tree, shrub, herb. क्या है? In the Shola forest of the Western Ghats. कौन सा कलर? इसलिए the name of the biosphere reserve is Nilgiris. Because of this flower. क्या खासियत है इस फ्लावर की? 12 साल में एक बार होता है. It blossoms once in 12 years. And which is ये फिर से न्यूज में है. This is the biggest flower in the world. Fine. Rafflesia arnoldi. So ये so कहाँ पे है ये? In the tropical evergreen forest of Indonesia. Have you written the name? In the tropical evergreen forest of the Indonesia. इंडिया में भी ऐसा फ्लावर है. This is the biggest flower in India. कॉर्प्स कोई ज़रूरत नहीं इंडिया का फ्लावर की. Second, in Eastern Himalayas. Why in the Eastern Himalayas the biodiversity is very high? The Eastern Himalayas have very high biodiversity because क्या? कहाँ पे है ट्रॉपिकल एवरग्रीन फॉरेस्ट? यहाँ पे वेजिटेशन अलग है, हिमालयाज है. यहाँ पे ईस्टर्न हिल कॉम्प्लेक्स है, यहाँ पे पेनिनसुलर प्लाटू है, यहाँ पे रेनफॉल बहुत ज़्यादा आता है, यहाँ पे स्नोफॉल भी होता है. फाइन, बिकॉज it lies in the junction of three different biogeographic zones. Geography changes and therefore life changes. That is what is known as an biogeographic zones. Understanding? And अभी सिर्फ ब्रैकेट में इतना याद रखना, WG is Western Ghat, Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, Eastern Himalayas ka certain part. It also comes in the Himalaya biodiversity hotspot, but more importantly Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. And third, Sunda land biodiversity hotspot. That is nothing but the these are the three regions which are having very, very high endemism. But out of all these three regions, number 1 and number 2, Sundaland biodiversity hotspot matlab Andaman and Nicobar Islands, but to be very specific, it is the Nicobar Islands. Clear? So these are endemism, means the species will be growing only in or found only in that particular geographical location. What is the difference between native species and endemic species? Endemic species are the native species but located only in specific geographical location. And native species can be found in different geographical location. For example, tiger is not an endemic species. Tiger is found in different parts of the world. It is found even in Asia, it is found even in the South Asia, it is also found in Russia. Fine? That is what is the non-endemic species. What are invasive alien species? These are non-native species, but which are harmful for the ecosystem. Why they are harmful for the ecosystem? Because they will grow at a very fast rate. They will easily adapt to the surroundings, and because unka population will suddenly increase. क्यों इनका population increases? Population इसलिए increase होता है because the species are from outside and therefore they are not the natural prey of any other species. Example is rabbit. Rabbit was introduced in America as a pet. It was from outside. As it was introduced in America, it suddenly started growing in population because वहाँ के जो animals है, wolf etc. या cat, उनको पता नहीं था what is rabbit. So they never used to eat the rabbit, and there was no predator of the rabbit. It increased to such an extent that ultimately it resulted into once 1918 में destruction of all the wheat of North America. That is what is known as an invasive alien species. So which comes from outside, but which becomes a threat to the ecosystem. So the reasons can be different. Reasons can be one, very quick adaptation. Secondly, can be it is not well established in the food chain. It does not have any predator in the food chain. Example uska can be rabbit, और उसका second example can be छिपकली. आपके घर की छिपकली. It was because the chipkali came, or the normal gecko. Chipkali is household gecko. It came through Indonesia, and when it has come to India, it has then propagated very, very rapidly. So when you see the chipkali in a house, you feel happy? No. That is why it is invasive alien species. ये है normal. Common examples of the invasive alien species जो पता होनी चाहिए is eucalyptus. Lantana camara is the second example of the invasive alien species. And एक जो news में है, that is pine. Pine is a natural vegetation of Himalayas, but it is an invasive alien species of the Western Ghats. These are Prosophoris juliflora. Fine, that is an invasive alien species of Bunny grasslands. So these are the common invasive alien species. So invasive alien species का definition. These are non-native species. These are non-native species. which are harmful to the ecosystem, which are harmful to the ecosystem. Because they propagate very rapidly, because they propagate very rapidly, or they are not very well established in the food chain. They are not very well established in the food chain. They are not very established in the food chain. They are also known as exotic species. They are also known as exotic species. The common invasive alien species in India are the common invasive species in India are साइंटिफिक नाम याद रखना. Yes, ecosystem means native species only. It is a common water hyacinth. It is a common weed which grows on the water bodies, thus reducing the sunlight that is reaching the water bodies. Can I continue? Parnathium. कहाँ पे यूज होता है? ये यूज होता है बुके में. because of uska use in the bouquet, it has become invasive alien species. It is a wild grass. जिसको कहा जाता है इवन कांग्रेस ग्रास. Which is also known as a Congress grass. Parnathium is also known as a Congress grass. It is used commonly as a decorative plant, Lantana camara. But it is an example of an invasive alien species. Parnathium came accidentally through PL480 program in India, wheat ke saath saath. And then it has propagated in India at a very high speed, destroying the other plants or even choking the agricultural crops. So that time in 1980s, before 1987, before 1978, only two things were common in India: Congress as a party and this grass. So इसलिए इस grass को नाम दिया गया था Congress grass. Eucalyptus was introduced in India under the social forestry program. And it is known for reducing the groundwater table and causing soil erosion. It is known for reducing the groundwater table wattle. Wattle, acacia. Introduced from Australia. And it has been declared as invasive species in Western Ghats. It has been declared as an invasive species in the Western Ghats, often resulting into forest fires, often causing forest fires. हो सकती है, yes. This is how wattle will become dry. ऑस्ट्रेलिया में ड्राई जो बुश फायर है, इट इज़ अ नॉर्मल कंडीशन. इस साल थोड़ी ज़्यादा है, बस इतना ही फर्क है. बट ऑस्ट्रेलिया में फॉरेस्ट फायर्स आर नॉर्मल. दे आर नॉट नॉर्मल इन द वेस्टर्न घाट्स. वेस्टर्न घाट्स विल रिसीव वेरी वेरी हेवी अमाउंट ऑफ सनलाइट. And due to monsoon winds, before the pre-monsoon winds, यहाँ पे winds will flow with very high speed. They will rub against each other, and as a result of this region will undergo forest fires. Fine. Why are they threat? Why are they threat? So they are threat because one, have you written this? They are not established in the food chain. लिखा है? So why are they threat? अगर नहीं लिखा होगा तो एक तो they propagate rapidly. Often at the cost of nutrients of other species. Second, are not a part of food chain. They are not a part of established food chain. बाद में over the period of time they may become established. Sentinel species. Why sentinel species? Because they are sensitive to certain environmental conditions. Therefore, they are known as sentinel species. And because they are sensitive to certain environmental conditions, they indicate whether the environmental conditions are good or whether the environmental conditions are bad. For example, the presence of lichens means the city is highly polluted or there is acid rainfall. The presence of frogs means कि यहाँ पे at least अभी drought नहीं आने वाला. That is, there is enough moisture in the ground and there is enough water in the ground and enough moisture in the atmosphere. But if the frogs disappear from your region, that means that region should prepare for drought in next 5 to 6 years. So such kind of a species are what are known as indicator species or sentinel species. Fine, these are the indicator species or the sentinel species. Why they are known as sentinel species? Because they are sensitive to the presence or absence of certain environmental conditions. Example, अगर आप घर बहुत गंदा रखते हो, especially in the terms of food items are spread all across your house, then who will indicate? You, cockroach and mice is going to indicate you are not tidy. These are what are the indicator species. Cockroach कब होगा? If the food is ऐसा ही spread out, बाहर रखा हुआ है, the food is open, and mice भी तभी होगा. ऊपर कौवे in the skies और ऊपर crows in the skies, that means नीचे कहीं तो garbage ऐसा ही पड़ा है. Understanding? These are what are an example of the indicator or species. So, definition of indicator species. Also known as indicator species, because as they are sensitive, they indicate the presence or absence of certain geography, or they indicate the presence or absence of certain environmental conditions. Presence or absence of certain environmental conditions. Certain environmental conditions. Example 1. First example is lichens. What is lichens? It is a symbiotic association between and they indicate environmental pollution. Especially acid rain, and this acid rain can be both dry deposition and wet deposition. Dry deposition and wet deposition. ऐसा नहीं कि acid rain should will occur only in the rainy season. जो धुआं है, even if it comes and settles in the surrounding region, it is an indicator of acid rain. That is what is known as a dry deposition. क्यों होता है? Oxides of carbon, oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen. Carbon oxides, nitrous oxides, sulfur oxides. Sulfur oxides कौन सा pollution? Tell me in geography. Sulfur oxides, industrial pollution. Nitrous oxides, vehicular pollution. Second example, butterflies. Butterflies are an example of both keystone and indicator species. They are an example of both keystone and indicator species. Keystone and indicator species. Why indicator species? Butterflies बहुत ज़्यादा है, मतलब flowering plants are there. Then only butterflies will come for cross pollination. Static. Current क्या है butterfly में? हाँ, butterfly का सर्वे कहाँ हुआ है? साउथ में कहाँ पे? or better. Tamil Nadu becomes the 5th state or the latest state to have its state butterfly. So current affairs likhna. Sirochora thais. Sirochora thais. कैसे क्वेश्चन आता है? Sirochora thais, which was currently in news, is invasive alien species, a butterfly, or a virus, or anything can be there. Fine. So Sirochora thais या फिर Tamil yeoman. Scientific name, normal name. I'll come to that. Likha has been declared as a state butterfly of Tamil Nadu. Has been declared as a state butterfly of Tamil Nadu. It is also known as Tamilian warrior. Tamilian warrior. And it became the 5th state after first state in India to declare a state butterfly, Maharashtra. उसके बाद उत्तराखंड, उसके बाद कर्नाटका, उसके बाद केरला. So match the column में question है ये. Should I write it? After Maharashtra, कौन सा है बटरफ्लाई स्टेट का? महाराष्ट्र का स्टेट बटरफ्लाई कौन सा है? ब्लू मोरमॉन. लिखो वहां पे. उत्तराखंड का common peacock. So common peacock is not a peacock, it is a butterfly. This was the first state butterfly in India, blue mormon. कर्नाटका सदर्न बर्डविंग. आ चुका है क्वेश्चन आ चुका है. केरला Malabar banded peacock. See, जो हमने लिखा वही है. Butterflies are great bioindicators of an ecosystem as they are highly sensitive to environmental conditions such as temperature, sunlight, etc. And Tamil Nadu का Tamil warrior or Tamil yeoman. This is southern birdwing, state butterfly of Karnataka. So question कैसे आएगा is Malabar word नहीं देंगे, otherwise the answer will become very easy. Yeoman or warrior. Tamil, warrior. Oh. Fine. Fourth. Fourth example. Fourth example. All the top level predators are an example of an are an example of an indicator species. Why indicator species? The health of the tiger indicates the health of the forest. If the forest is good, herbivorous animals are good. If the herbivorous animals are in good health, tiger has enough prey, and tiger, if it has enough prey, it is healthy. So, because sorry, not determine, they indicate. Go and look at the tiger in the jungle, and uske baad aake go and look at the tiger in the Delhi Zoo. You will get the difference. So, all the top level predators, and all the top level predators are also an example of the keystone species. Fifth example, pygmy hog. Pygmy hog. Indicates the health of grassland ecosystem. Indicates the health of grassland ecosystem. Indicates the health of grassland ecosystem. So, come to question number 6. Geography में हमने किया है. We'll be again revising here. But what is the answer for this? दोनों बैचेस में हो चुका है ये. 1 and 2. Bhitarkanika, Orissa is famous for the biggest crocodile, saltwater crocodile. Desert National Park is famous for Great Indian Bustard. While Hulok Gibbon is in northeast, in entire northeast, not just not in Kerala, not in the Western Ghats. Question number 22. A या B? The Himalayan range is very rich in species diversity. Which of the following is, underline the word most appropriate. Question solving की techniques अब सीखना शुरू करो. Most appropriate मतलब इस क्वेश्चन में दो राइट आंसर हो सकते हैं, इसलिए यूपीएससी स्ट्रेसिंग यू मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट, बिकॉज ए आल्सो इज अ राइट आंसर, बी आल्सो इज अ राइट आंसर, बट मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट इज बी. Fine. Question number 24. What adds carbon dioxide and what removes the carbon dioxide? So they are asking you what is going to add the carbon dioxide. Fine. So देखो option 1 photosynthesis, it removes the carbon dioxide from the earth, बाकी सब add होता है. So without wasting time in the examination या in the test series, start solving doing this technique now. जिसमें 1 है वो पहले cancel करो. So that is A goes, D goes. Now you have to focus only on B and C. So respiration adds the carbon dioxide. Decay of organic matter adds the carbon dioxide. Volcanic action adds the carbon dioxide. So the answer is C. इससे silly mistakes नहीं होते in the exam. Breaking of the rocks we have studied. Question number 49. क्या कट हो जाएगा? Andhra does not have Western Ghats. Andhra has Eastern Ghats. Andhra कट हो जाएगा. Andhra कट होते ही C and D option goes. Now the option is 2 only or 1, 2, 3. So you have to see the states in which there is Nilgiris. So the answer is 1, 2, 3. Question number 50. Which one of the following describes the not only the physical space occupied the organism but also uska role, function, job? So the role, function, job ये word आते ही answer is niche, ecological niche. I'll teach you that. Fine. Ecological niche. Question number 57. नीश, उसका आंसर नीश है, कल समझ में आएगा भाई नीश. 57. Decomposers are something which are going to break down. Fine. So it obviously is a living thing, but it is on the dead and decomposed organic matter. A virus is not a living thing. Virus will be living only inside the host. Bahar it is a dead. So virus is not a decomposer. So the bacteria, fungus, earthworms, ये है decomposers. Based on this, the answer is B, 2 and 3. Question number 69. सॉल्व करने की जरूरत नहीं, देखो एज इट इज क्वेश्चन रिपीट हुआ है. फाइन, इवन ऑप्शंस भी चेंज नहीं हुए. देयरफॉर मैं कहता हूं एनवायरमेंट इकोलॉजी में मार्क्स मिस नहीं होने चाहिए. ट्राई टू स्कोर मैक्सिमम. इफ यू, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन घुमा फिरा के वही स्पीसीज और वही ये आ रहा है. द ओनली थिंग इज व्हाट इज कॉमन इज दिस थिंग 70. मैंने जो साथ में थे मेरे उनको दिखाया भी था 70 का आंसर क्या है इन जयपुर व्हाट इज द आंसर नियर आमेर फोर्ट कॉमन मैना फाइन why common maina because black necked crane is found only in Leh Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh current affairs में black necked crane याद रखना it is found only in Leh Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh and painted stork is generally associated with the wetlands so it is not a common bird so kabhi kabhi you will have to use your common sense black neck crane हो नहीं सकता why will it come from Leh Ladakh to just be और ये है पेंटेड स्टॉक ये दिखेगा कभी भैंस के आसपास नहीं फाइन दिस इज अ important bird that is this is what is the painted stork but you will see this everywhere this is what is the common myna ये भी नहीं दिखेगा in India you will have to cross the great Himalayas to see this bird why it is in the news this is the news where is Tawang Arunachal Pradesh question number 77 B. Algae and fungus. Question number 85. उनके 2-3 ट्रीज इंपॉर्टेंट है ये मैंने जून बैच में बताया है It is found in the teak, wood, etc. is found in the moist deciduous forest. Question number 86. Though we have not written, but we have studied this. आपको एक word ढूंढना है biotic and abiotic. Ecosystem में there has to be both biotic and abiotic. So community of organisms interacting with each other, nahi, it is only talking about the biotic interaction. That part of the earth which is inhabited by living organisms, that is a definition of a biosphere. The community of an organism together with the environment in which they live. So community of the organism, yes, biotic. Environment, abiotic. That is what is the ecosystem. And the flora and fauna of a geographical area, that is biodiversity. So the answer is C. Question number 88, we have done this. इसका आंसर इज केबुल लामजाओ क्या द ओनली फ्लोटिंग लेक नेशनल पार्क इन इंडिया कौन सा लेक लोकटक लेक विच स्टेट मणिपुर डांसिंग डियर Sangai or dancing deer. We'll come to that. But Kebul Lamjao is the only floating national park in the world. (91) GK. घड़ियाल नहीं, कौन सा? गैंजेटिक डॉल्फिन। कश्मीर स्टैग, हंगुल। अभी वहीं पे लिखना, साल्ट वाटर क्रोकोडाइल कहाँ मिलता है? विच इज द फेमस रीजन? भीतरकनिका, भीतरकनिका, चिलिका एक्सेट्रा, द बिगेस्ट। ऑलिव रिडले टर्टल्स, ऑलिव रिडले टर्टल्स, गैर माता बीच। फाइन। चिलिका लेक, ऋषिकुल्या रिवर। ये है 3 फॉर द ऑलिव रिडले टर्टल्स। उड़ीसा, चिलिका के जस्ट नीचे, आई गेस दोनों बैच में वी हैव सीन द ऋषिकुल्या रिवर। नहीं, not the important nesting site. The most important nesting site in the world is गैर माता बीच, एंड उसके बाद इट इज द ऋषिकुल्या रिवर। नेस्टिंग साइट मीन्स अंडे देने वो यहाँ पे आएंगे। गैंजेटिक डॉल्फिन along the river गंगा, इंडस डॉल्फिन along the river बियास, एंड घड़ियाल चंबल सिंध बेटवा एंड केन। सो घड़ियाल आगे जाके आएगा। सो आई स्टॉप हियर। क्या हुआ?